Hi guys, Tracy here with another scrapbooking process video. This time I'm using the Drops of Jupiter kit, an add-on from the Scraptastic Kit Club, which is the kit for March of 2016. This video is a direct follow-up from my last process video, which was called Trip, and there's also going to be a little share summary video that's going to show all three of the pages. So there's two 12 by 12 pages and then a double-sided 6 by 12 page that's going to go in the center of these. So have a look at the process. I'm going to blabber on a lot, so this is a bit of a long video. Hi everyone, I'm about to scrapbook a 6 by 12 layout that's going to go in the middle of these two. So these are two layouts that I created with the Scraptastic Drops of Jupiter kit, as well as some die cuts background pieces that I cut. Well, this one I cut from my silhouette, and this one my friend Christine Davidson cut from her silhouette and gave to me. So I have a process video for this one, and this one was one of the layouts that I did at Crop and Create Moncton, so if you're interested in seeing me talk a little bit about this one, you can check out my video on that, and the process video for this one should be right before this one on my channel, the one that you're currently watching, right on my channel. So I'm going to use a piece of this basil cardstock that is exactly the same color as the cardstock that came in the kit. I needed an extra piece, so I did buy an extra piece at the scrapbook store that was at the Crop. They happen to have the exact same color. So this is the same cardstock that comes in your kit. There is another piece of blue cardstock that came in the kit, and I'm choosing not to use that one because it's a slightly more, I can't find it right now, but it is, I think, is that it? No, that's not it. This is it. Here it is. So this would be an option too. I'm just choosing not to use it because it's just introducing yet another color of blue. There's too much blue going on here, and then I had some black, and so I've decided to just use the same color of blue because the idea is that this 6 by 12, which is going to be, I think this is a little bit wider than 6, so I'm going to have to trim it down. This 6 by 12 layout will go right in between these two. And in this one, because neither of these have too many details, this is my kind of my band fan page, and then this is a really beautiful picture that Scott captured at the concert. And I just love how he captured this moment of Jake in the audience with and playing on his guitar. So I just titled it Trip. That's the name of the song. But this layout here uses two versions of the umbrellas. I think it's called Beach Umbrellas die cut that was a free download from Scrapbook and Cards Today. And so I downloaded it, and I thought instead of using it, I think it's supposed to look like a bunch of beach umbrellas, all kind of like an overhead view, but I thought I'd just use it as a starburst instead. I couldn't decide between black and white, and I ended up deciding to use both of them together, and I just offset them a little bit, and you'll see that in the process video if you're interested in seeing how that happened. But one of the things that happened is I ended up with all of these negative pieces that I thought I could also use. So the idea that I'm going to kind of try to do today is I'm going to scrapbook both sides of this 6 by 12 in one video, and I'm going to do the same thing with offsetting and using two of the die cuts. I don't know. There we go. So my idea is that I'll still use these, and then there will be some consistency. And I'm also going to use a lot of the similar papers, so I have all of the papers that I've sort of hacked up in order to make both of these layouts. I kind of had to cut into a whole lot of pieces of paper. So I have all of my scraps right here. I have my tickets, my concert tickets right here, and I thought I would put them in this vellum envelope that some goodies came in the kit. It was closed with a piece of washi tape, which means that I can easily reuse this, and I think it's going to be the right size, and because it's a little bit see-through, you'll still be able to see the details of our pretty sucky seats, but still nice to kind of have that memory. So I'm going to put those in like that. And I have all of my scraps here from all the papers that I cut into. And I had doubles of some of the paper, but not all of them, so because I got the extra paper kit. And, oh yeah, the other thing that I was going to include in this one is the set list, because I'm obsessed with set lists. So most concerts that you go to, you can find the set list either ahead of time. If it's a concert that's kind of traveling around, you can see what the set list was at other cities, and then you know what the set list is going to be at yours. However, I couldn't find the set list ahead of time because we were one of the first stops on this concert. So anyhow, but it was posted afterwards, and I was kind of trying to keep track of it, and then I just stopped and decided to just enjoy the concert. I love set lists. What I do is before the concert, I'll listen to all the songs that are probably going to be played, and I just like knowing all the words and singing along. But also after I go to a concert, I always look up the set list afterwards, and then I'll make a playlist that is kind of like recreating the concert, and I'll try to find the acoustic version of any songs that they did the acoustic version, or, you know, like I try to kind of keep it as true to how the concert was as possible, because I'm a little geeky like that. I'm just obsessed with set lists. So, and playlists. So I'm going to incorporate the playlist in some way. I don't know exactly how. If I'll just like list them, maybe I'll use my typewriter. I'm not entirely sure. I might put the set list on the back of this and then do some journaling about just the experience on the other side. Anyhow, this layout is probably, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, because I don't really have a good plan for it, but we'll see. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to start by cutting down my paper, I think, but no, first I'm going to start by taking off that washi tape so it doesn't end up sticking to anything else. Then I'm going to just cut my cardstock down to 6 inches, and it is of course 12 inches in length because it was a standard piece of 12 by 12 cardstock before I cut into it. And now I'm just playing around with these circular shapes from the other die cut that I used on the other layout, and I'm really thinking about using the exact same technique, which is to layer the black and the white and slightly offset it a little bit. And if I do that, I really only need 2 of them. So I'm thinking one will go there and one will go there. And then I have those little die cut pieces from the Scraptastic Kit Club. They're exclusives with the kit. Put one in each of the centers, and I really like how that looks. Then I can tuck the envelope in behind here and have my tickets on it. I'm thinking about using those Heidi Swapp letter stickers to spell out the word tickets and put it right there in the bottom left-hand corner of the glassine envelope and running sideways. So those were my first ideas when I just kind of looked at what supplies I had. I'm using my ATG to just glue those 2 circles together in the centers only. And then the rays that extend from them can just be kind of loose and have a little bit of extra dimension. And now I'm thinking about spelling out the word tickets, as I said, and putting it on the side there. So I'm going to start by just putting the word tickets out on my piece of wax paper. And then I thought maybe I'm pretty sure there's another glassine envelope somewhere in my supplies because 2 of them came in the kit. So I'm going to also spell out set list, and I will put that on the second glassine envelope, assuming I can find it. I had a moment of thinking that maybe I didn't have another T, but there's an extra T down in the extra letters at the bottom of that sticker sheet. So, whew. So, now hopefully I bring everything over into screen. There we go. So the word tickets will go there, and the word set list will go somewhere down there. And I'm just thinking that I might be able to layer a couple of other things. That ticket piece of ephemera is from the Starshine collection. It turns out that the other vellum envelope is exactly the same size as the top one. I thought it was smaller, and I would have liked it to have been smaller because it would give more interest to the page and make it a little bit less predictable and symmetrical. As it is, I've got too much symmetry going on for my own comfort level here, but I'm going to fix that a little bit by layering one of the vellum envelopes under the rays of the starburst and one of them over the rays. And then I'm going to actually make this envelope a tiny bit smaller than what it actually is. So I was going to mask off the edge of this. I'm going to try something which I'm not sure is going to work. I was going to mask it off with a piece of wax paper, but I was afraid that the glue would actually become adhered permanently to the glassine and ruin the envelope. So instead, I used one of those post-it note, a piece of post-it note tape that card makers use when they're stamping stuff. So I didn't like my cut edge of that envelope, so I just tore it with my ruler. And I'm also going to mask off the edge of this because as I said, I'm going to change the size of this. I'm not going to cut it down because I don't like the look of glassine envelopes when they're cut, but I'm going to actually fold it around so that it looks smaller than what it is. Now I'm going to try typing on a glassine envelope, and I'm not sure if it's going to work or not, but I figured if it doesn't work, I'll just think of something else. I started with a dash, which the dash on my typewriter sticks. It doesn't work properly. So I can't even tell if it works. So I'm going to try a different. So what I wanted to do was put dashes in between each of the words in the playlist or each of the songs, I guess, because I'm not going to have enough space for the number of songs that were in the playlist to make it a list, like a vertical list. So I'm going to have to make it be like a spelled out list. So kind of going horizontal and then from line to line. So that means that there will be multiple songs on each line, but I want to be able to tell where the songs begin and end. So I was going to put dashes, and then I thought bullets would look cool, but I can't find anything that looks bullet-like in this old-fashioned typewriter. So I decided to go with hashtags. So I'm just spelling out the names of all the songs that were played that night, and I'm putting hashtags in between them. And you see me, I keep referring back to my list. And I will talk a little bit about using an old-fashioned typewriter here. I do not like to use the corrector tape for a couple of reasons. So here, hang on. I forgot something on this line. So you have to kind of very carefully line it up and go back and try to add. I don't obsess too much over getting it perfect because it's an old-fashioned typewriter and it's supposed to look imperfect. And that's why we use an old-fashioned typewriter as opposed to using a printer. And so I just have to, once I move things around, it's hard to get the lines lined up again, but I figured it out and got it working right. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things here. First of all, what I'm doing right now, that back and forth, when I make a mistake, instead of using corrector tape, because I hate corrector tape, it makes a mess everywhere and it's white, and usually we're not typing on white paper when we're doing it for scrapbooking. So instead what I do is I go backwards and then type the right key, and backwards and the right key, and backwards and the right key. And what that does is it makes the right key be quite a bit darker than the wrong key, which is underneath of all that. And usually it looks a little weird, like you can definitely tell that I made a mistake and fixed it, but it's better than any other way of fixing something that I could figure out. And I like the look of it. So that's one thing. The other thing is that my dash button is, see, there I go again, backwards, fix it. That's what I do to fix my typing. So the dash is broken on my key. It's not broken, but it just doesn't hit the paper. So whenever I use a dash, which is any time that I have to divide a word from one line to the next, what I do is, am I going to do it right here? Yeah, see, I just press it with my finger. So my typewriter puts it up there and it kind of gets stuck there. And so it just happened again. I just press it with my finger against the page and it does make the dash on the page. And then I just have to use my finger to get that key to go back, or that hammer or whatever the little arm thing is called. I get it to go back with my hand. So those are my two tips. So go backwards and then put the right key, backwards, right key whenever you make a mistake. And then if you have any keys that don't work, try just using your finger to get the key to make it an impression. And there you go. Now I can pull it down. And what am I doing here? Oh yes, I had to go back and add something. So I just did my best to try to line it up in the right place. And again, I did it wrong, so I'm doing another one of those backwards fix situations. And there you go. It doesn't look perfect, but I kind of like it. I like it like that. So the other thing is that you want to make sure, because I don't do a return to get to the next line, because that would make too big of a space between my lines. And also I don't want to go, the glassine envelope is quite a bit shorter than the length of a piece of paper. So if I press return, it would go all the way to the edge and I don't want it there. So what I do is I just count how many, and for my typewriter, 3 clicks. So I roll it up. I go 1 click, 2 click, 3 clicks, and that's my space between my lines. So when I come to the end of the line, I go click, 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 and then I move the carriage right to the beginning of the next line. So I'm just saying there, I'm just gesturing for you guys and to spark my own memory that I'm purposely not going to sew on this layout. I would have liked to have sewn the word set list onto the glassine envelope, but if I did that, I would feel the need to also sew over the word tickets, and I can't because that's an actual functioning envelope, and if I sewed over it, then those tickets would be in there for good. So I'm not going to sew on set list, even though I would have liked to. That was my first impression. Now I did leave a little mistake on my typing, and I just basically I started the word never before I didn't have room to put that word there. So I just left it and figured I'll cover that up with something. So that something was that blue enamel heart, and then I also put another little blue dot beside it. So it didn't look like it was just there for no reason, because I wouldn't want anybody to know that I made a mistake. So now I'm just going to put out these letters, and a little tip for making your letters be straight, especially with something see-through like a glassine envelope or a piece of vellum or something, is that you can just use the grid on your work mat if you have a gridded work mat, or you could also use lined paper, which you will see me doing a little bit later on in this very same layout. And then the S's are always hard to get straight because they look weird. When they're sideways, you can't really tell how they look until you put them straight up, right side up and down. So I tried to leave the same amount of space at the beginning of the word set list and at the beginning of the word tickets so that I could put a little something. I wasn't sure what, but I like that arrow that's down beside set list. And so I thought, I got to find another arrow. So I'm looking through the Chamel Starshine embellishments, and lo and behold, there is another of the exact same arrow. It's just a different color. So hooray! So I'm just using my ATG to stick that in place, and then I will stick this one in place as well. I'm just putting them in literally the exact same place. And then I'm going to cut that one off, and I'm going to leave this one because I'm not sure exactly how long I want it to be. So I cut it a little bit longer just so it wouldn't be in the way, but I thought I could always trim it off to be exactly like the other one if I want to later. So now I want the same amount of blue showing on either side of these vellum pockets. So I just did that when I kept that in mind as I was putting down the word, the tickets pocket. And I'm going to put little clusters of embellishments in the centers of each of these 2 little starbursts. Oh, I'd love to get that die cut piece that didn't make it onto the other layout. If you watched my last video, you saw me trying to get that on the trip layout page, but it's not going to make it on this one either. So now the word fly is kind of cool, and the word soar just isn't, from a design perspective. I would have liked the word soar there, but it's just too bland. It doesn't have enough contrast for what I'm looking for. So I'm searching for another die cut piece that can go with this bottom one, and I found the word shine, and that one works quite well. We find Hedley to be very inspirational. Not every single song. I mean, they have their share of angry songs and breakup songs and lovey-dovey songs and that sort of thing. But a lot of their songs are, and they have a couple of cynical songs too, but a lot of their songs are really inspirational and positive. And so I wanted to have this layout really reflect the idea of, and all of these pages actually that go together in this spread, I wanted them to all reflect, reaching for the sky and soaring and flying and you know, going after your dreams and that sort of thing. So I stapled there, and I really didn't like how the staples ended up looking. So I'm going to staple down lower, and then I'm going to use the descending Y to cover up those staples that I didn't like so much. Now I'm just cutting the edges, like the border that goes around my foam adhesive sheets, and I get those from Stampin' Up. And cutting around the border just gives me little tiny pieces that I can work with so that I can pop up this die cut piece that says Fly. This is from the Scraptastic Kit Club. It's one of the exclusives. I think everything I'm using here is from the Kit Club actually, except for the cardstock, the black and white cardstock. I think it did come with some white cardstock actually, so just the black cardstock is extra. So now I'm taking these enamel shapes that also came in the kit, and I'm putting one in each of the clusters, or two in one of the clusters, and then that geotag in the other. Okay, so I think this side is done now. I have my pocket with my tickets. I like to keep pockets at the top of a page so you can reach in easily and get it. You don't have to reach down into the page protector or take the layout right out of the page protector. So not every single time, but often when I have pockets, you'll see that they end up at the top of the page. I have a little cluster here, and I was able to fit the set list perfectly onto this little glassine, the second glassine envelope, and another little cluster. I have enamel dots here, here, and here, kind of creating a triangle on the layout, and I like how it looks. Now I think that this is going to be the back side of this, and I'm going to now work on the front side. This is going to hold most of my journaling about the concert, and I think I might mat it with a piece of pattern paper. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. You'll see the process. I'm going to just keep on going here. Yeah, let me just see how this looks. So this would look like this in my book. That's pretty nice. It carries some black over onto this page, which otherwise didn't have any black. And yeah, so that's quite nice. I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to start by cutting down this piece of Amy Tangerine Better Together paper. This is the paper with those beautiful hand-drawn stars. I absolutely love it. And I'm just cutting it to a little bit less than 6 inches. And then I also have to, I also have to trim off the length of it because I want it to be matted. I want it to be matted by the blue background. And I'm going to come back and talk to you in just a second because I'm sort of changing my mind here about something. Okay, so I just wanted to comment a little bit about what I'm doing as I design this, keeping in mind that this 6 by 12 page is going to go between these two 12 by 12 pages that were designed to it's not a continuous layout, but I guess I'm sort of trying to coordinate it so that it is a continuous story, so that these 3 pages, this, and this, both sides of this, will kind of tell the story of going to the concert. So we're fans, this is what happened at the concert, here's the tickets in the set list, and then there's a beautiful shot that Scott took that just kind of summarizes, I don't know, how much we love the band and how awesome they are. So, So what I'm doing from a design perspective is I'm thinking about my album lying open and my 3 rings right here, and I'm thinking about the fact that if I can bring some of this design over to here when it's laying like this, that kind of looks pleasing. So I brought these circles from this page over to this page. And then my original plan was to bring circles over here too, but then we'd have circles and circles and then something completely different here. So what I thought about kind of bringing this mosaic pattern over to here too, but I'm not entirely sure that I want to do that. So instead what I'm doing is, because this 6 by 12 is going to be mostly journaling, I'm going to bring a whole bunch of this star paper over, because this star paper actually didn't make it into this. So that brings something from over there. This layout is quite white dominant, and this layout is quite dark, so this brings some lightness over to this side as well, balances out the lightness that's in this photo. I think it looks good like this. So I'm actually not going to use these on this page because it would just be too much of all the same over there and too much contrast with that. So this brings some of that over, and we'll see if I might incorporate some of a mosaic or if I'll just kind of leave it at that. So that's what I was thinking at the time. And here I am back to my process. So I'm going to use my ATG to put some glue on the back of this so that I can mat that paper with the blue cardstock background. And now I thought, first of all, I thought that some of this orange paper would look nice brought over to this 6 by 12 inch layout, and I thought about doing 2 strips. So I'm going to cut a 1-inch strip of this orange paper, and then I thought about doing 2 triangular strips like that. It kind of looks similar to what's going on in the other side, and it brings kind of that design of chunked up triangles from the left side over into the right side. But I made my triangles way too long, so I'm just going to mark where the 6-inch, it's actually less than 6 inches because it's matted. So I'm just cutting it, and then I'm using my trimmer. My trimmer helps me to just keep it really nice and straight. And there we go. You'll have to pardon my hair. I was in the closet trying to dig out and make sure that the mouse wasn't in there. So I had a whole bunch of dust and particles and stuff in my hair this morning. I just wanted to make absolutely sure that this video was not disturbed by any kind of rodent running across my table or me screaming or anything like that. So I spent a good part of the morning just kind of digging around in the closet trying to scare out any critters that might have been in there. So there we go. I just chopped them up. You saw it took a bit of trial and error to get them the sizes and the shapes that I wanted them to be, but I think that looks kind of nice. And the only thing that I'm thinking is that, gee, I wish I had like some white cards. I thought about putting some little strips of white cardstock to go along the edges of this. And it didn't occur to me until a few minutes later that I could just mat those pieces in white cardstock. So here we go. I'm going to do that. I can't believe I almost, and man, I would have been really upset if I had gone to the trouble of cutting little strips of white paper when all that I had to do was mat them on white paper, and it gives you exactly the same look that the mosaic next door gives you. Next door meaning over on that lovely Hedley page to the left. So I'm just going to mat both of those and put them back down. And that just, you know what, I know it's hard to see the mat because that background paper has so much white on it, but it makes a difference to me. I really like it a lot better with the mat. It just looks more, it's more obvious that it's an element that I'm pulling across the page from the left-hand side. And so I thought, while I'm at it, maybe I should just take a couple of other chunks. So I thought about a chunk like this, and then I don't know if I'm going to go ahead. I thought, no, that's going to be actually too big to design anything around. So I thought maybe I could make some longer, thinner chunks. So I'm just going to do that with and I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of playing it by ear and seeing how it goes. So I'm thinking that piece might look good there, although I am going to trim it down a little bit more from that. That's a little bit too chunky for my liking. And then this green paper, it's the back side of the stars. It's green and blue actually. It also shows up in the mosaic, so I'm going to go ahead and take a sliver of this as well. There we go. And so it's unbalanced right now because that big darker paper is quite a bit bigger. So I'm going to cut that down eventually. And now when I'm matting this, I'm putting it against the side of the paper so that I have one less edge to cut. There we go. And it's a little bit bigger than I thought it was going to be, but it actually looks pretty good tucked under the orange there. So that's what I'm going to do. Leave it like that, and then snip it off down there. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing here. I could have used my trimmer for a really smooth line here, but I didn't think I'd do too badly just cutting it by hand. And now you can see that's really just too bulky there, so I'm going to trim a bit of that off. That's a little bit better. It's still a little bit bulky and not balanced, but by the time I put stuff on this layout, it will look better. So I pre-wrote my journaling, and boy, this is going to be a painful process for you guys to watch. Sorry about that. I'm going to look for some paper that I can use for journaling. I thought about those stripes and that would be just too busy. I thought about that paper. It's going to be too, I don't know, it's going to cover too much for the amount of journaling that I want to do. Any of these pattern papers are just going to cover up all of that mosaic that I spent so much time just making right now. So I went to my vellum drawer and I grabbed this piece of vellum, and I thought the vellum itself probably is too see-through. So I thought I could build up a bit of opaqueness by layering some vellum underneath of the main piece that I'm going to do my journaling on. So I went and got myself a lined piece of paper so that I can space out my journaling and have it be all nice and neat and tidy. And there's going to be a lot of false starts here, but I decided to leave it in because I kind of have a philosophy with my process videos that I show the entire process. I know that that makes my videos longer and sometimes on the boring side, but I do like to show my process just because, you know, we all make mistakes, and sometimes you learn more from watching someone mess up and fix their mistake than anything else. So first of all, I'm thinking this marker, it writes on vellum. It's a Faber-Castell Pitt pen. It does mark on vellum, but you have to let it dry. And I thought, I'm probably going to smudge this. So I thought about switching over to my Staedtler fine liner. Not my Staedtler fine liner, my Staedtler Lumo Color, which is a slick surface writer, but it was too gray. It just wasn't black enough. I love the blackness of my Faber-Castell Pitt pens. So I thought, oh, that's okay. I'll start all over again, and I will use the Pitt pens. It's just, I will just be careful to not smudge it until it's dry. And it only takes a few seconds for it to dry, so that's no problem. So I go ahead, and this is my second start on this journaling, and I'm writing on every second line that is on that paper. And I'm not sure why I'm doing that, because my journaling clearly does not fit on a half of a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So I don't know what I'm thinking, but at some point I'm going to realize that this is not going to fit on this one piece of paper, and I'm going to start over again. So pretty soon I'm going to start over again. Here we go. I'm going to tear that off, get myself a new piece of vellum. I'm actually going to use the other side of the same piece of vellum. I'm folding it because I like the shadows you get when you fold vellum and layer it together with some pieces folded and some pieces torn. And I like how the edges look when they're folded too. So I just did that. And I'm going to go ahead and start all over again. And now I really went from one extreme to the other, where I was writing on every other line. And now I'm trying to squeeze 3 lines in, like, what am I trying to do? Basically, I can fit 3 lines of my penmanship onto 2 lines of the background lines. So I'm really jamming it in, which was unnecessary. I didn't need to jam it in quite that much, but that's okay. I spread out a little bit as I go. And that gives it the handmade Tracy look because my penmanship is, I'm not very good at planning my journaling at all, so it's always spaced very badly. And I think if I ever had journaling that was nicely spaced, it wouldn't look like my own anymore. I'm going to read you what I wrote here. It says, we bought our tickets in November and had been waiting not so patiently for April 12th to come. Since January, we've been listening almost exclusively to Hedley, so Sophia could know the music and lyrics. This was Liv's, Sophie's, and Sophia's first real concert. It was fun to see them so excited to see Jacob Hogard and the band after watching them on YouTube and listening to all their albums for so long. Hedley's music is so positive and uplifting, and then in brackets I put for the most part. We love the messages of being true to yourself, never giving up on your dreams, and living life to its fullest. Thank you so much, Hedley, for helping us, in quotes, lose control, feel, in quotes, invincible, and, in quotes, perfect, living our, in quotes, one life, and enjoying your concert, in quotes, for the very first time. Everything in quotes are song titles, because I'm goofy like that. And then it says and then I spell out crazy for you with stickers, and you'll see me do that. And Crazy for You is another one of their song titles. It's actually probably my very favorite song. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. I can't pick a favorite song. I was talking to Sophia about that the other day. Every time I pick a favorite song, I always think of 4 more songs that I like more than that. And so, yeah, I can't pick a favorite. It's actually a great band to go see live. I can't believe we haven't seen them yet because we've been big fans for quite some time. And they have been here several times, but I'm just not a big concert goer. So I'm using so I did my writing in medium point, in medium point Faber-Castell Pitt pens. And as I said, they give a really nice black, crisp look. I love the journaling. And then I did my underlining in a superfine pen. And I left room there to spell out Crazy for You. And I just had to check and make sure I had all the letters. I'm going to do it on wax paper because I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to place it. And I was thinking that I probably didn't have enough letters to spell out Crazy for You. So I put Crazy for You, and I kind of hate that. So I thought, that's just stupid. I'm just going to change it. I shouldn't say it's stupid because some people might think that's great. And that it is a great way to make a title with using less letters. But I'm not the kind of person I don't use those things. Even when I'm texting, I never say like the number 4 in place of the word for. I don't know. I think I'm just too anal about that sort of thing. So I thought this doesn't even feel like that letter 4, that number 4 totally made this page seem completely ingenuine. It's funny how one little thing can do that to you. But as soon as I saw the number 4, I was like, oh my God, that's so not me. So I had to take it off. So thank goodness the letters FOR were still in the sheet. So. And then I added the word so because I realized that although the title is Crazy for You, it goes, I'm so crazy for you is the lyric. So I thought that putting so would be cute there. And also from a design perspective, I like the words kind of going into the title like that. So here I am kind of folding and tearing multiple pieces of vellum just to build up some opacity here. Or opacity? I don't know how you pronounce that. I'm not good at pronouncing things. And then my last sheet that's going to go in the back, I want both edges to wrap around my journaling so that I've got a torn edge that will be showing. And that edge wasn't torn yet, so I had to tear it. I didn't have much room to tear, so it's not going to be perfect. But that's actually what I really like about it, is that it's all kind of really messy and scrappy looking, which is nice. So again, you're not even really going to see this layer. You do see where the edges of it kind of end, so I guess that's good. But that one was mostly just for opacity, and then this one is for a little bit of extra opacity and then some detailing around the vertical edges there. There we go. Now I'll glue the whole thing down like this. And I'm so crazy for you. I'm trying to get that die cut on there, and it's just not working. I would love to get that die cut on there, but it's just not going to happen. Maybe I can figure out, maybe I'll like poke a hole in it and just put it on one of the rings of my scrapbook. So I have some exclusive die cut circles there from the Scraptastic kit. They came in the kit, and they coordinate with one of the pattern papers that I actually didn't use in any of these layouts, but I thought that the patterns were cute and it worked well with the colors that were already going on in this one. So I'm using my stapler here as it's my tiny attacher, and I'm using it just for design only. So I'm using a foam dot to adhere these. And here I'm going to actually staple them onto the page because I can. See, I'm mindful of the fact that there is a layout on the other side of this now, so I can't staple as freely because I'll be stapling right into the other layout. So there we go. I've got those circles in 3 different places. So I basically have 2 pairs of circles. There's a white one with a star on it, and then a solid one beside it. And now I'm putting an enamel shape beside each of those clusters, so they become my cluster. 2 paper circles and 1 enamel dot circle. And now I'm also going to put these Heidi Swap stickers in place, but it's going to take me a while to figure out that I actually want these to be on white cardstock before I place them. The good thing is that these are really easy to peel off. So here's where I decide, oh, wait a minute, that would look a lot better on a piece of white cardstock so that you can read it better. And I should have put it right up against the edge so I would have one less surface to cut, but I didn't. But I did remember to do that for these 2. So there's going to be one of these Heidi Swap phrase stickers in each of those clusters that I just created. And sorry, I'm out of screen. I was just zoomed in too far here. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, totally out of frame. Sorry. That's annoying. I know, I hate whenever I watch videos like that. I'm always like, I use my hands and I'm like, I try to push it up and it just doesn't work. So there we go. That's not where that's going to live. Right there. Something like that. So now I'm just going to take my ATG. Hopefully I'll zoom out so that you can see it. Ah, I hate it when that happens. Anyhow, I did use my ATG. Actually, I don't know. I might have used my Tombow tape runner. Yep, that's what I was using. And now I'm going to put a foam dot on either edge of that so that that's what I do with banners. It makes it stick in the middle and then pop up on both ends. And here we go. So this is what this layout looks like with the first page showing. And now this is what it looks like when it's flipped over. I really love this little set of pages. Now, one thing is that I didn't actually, and so here are just these 2 pages. So this is basically like a 1.5 page layout right here. And then there's another 1.5 page layout. So now you're going to see some close-ups of these layouts. And I didn't put a whole lot of photos on this layout because most of my photos didn't turn out very good. I'm going to talk about that in my next video where I'm actually going to show these pages close up. It's a very short video, but I just thought for those people who don't watch process videos, they might be interested in seeing just how the pages look once they're finished. So I'm going to talk about them. And so if you're interested in what I have to say about the lack of photos, watch that one because I'll talk about it a little bit. There's a picture of it with the tickets sticking out so that you can see that the tickets come in and out. And there's that set list, all my favorite songs. Oh, every single one of my favorite songs, which I've already told you is all of them, was sung. So that's really great. You know, sometimes you go to a concert and you're like, oh, they didn't play blah, blah, blah. Well, they played everything. So that was awesome. So I think that this is it. There's a handful more photos, so feel free to watch them until they're all done or just whatever you want. Take care and have a really great scrappy week. It's a good shit. Yeah.